Hi, thank you all for joining. My name is Whitney Howard, and I want to say thank you all for allowing me to be a part of the Com Week. I'm very excited. I'm filling in for Mr. T.S. Shepherd, and I like to talk about inclusiveness and diversity, and we want to talk about becoming an agent of change. What I'm going to be talking about in this presentation is, of course, my objectives. We're going to learn about what is diversity, important definitions, what is culture, what is cultural competence, and have you ever been unfairly judged? I'm sure a lot of us can answer that. And what is linguistic competence? So in this PowerPoint, I'm going to present to you all specific culture competency strategies that can be used in delivering culturally competent services to diverse populations. And here, I'm so glad that here on our campus of Texas Southern University, we offer these platforms and these all-inclusive places, such as the Price Center, in which I manage, and the ODEI office, so that our diverse community can feel like they have a place to go with learning their education. This presentation highlights the importance of developing culturally appropriate behaviors that take into account the knowledge, attitudes, and beliefs of the Texas Southern University community. And of course, we're going to talk about the objectives. We're going to identify correct definitions of keywords, demonstrate an understanding of cultural differences in behaviors, attitudes, and beliefs. Understand that assumptions can lead to stereotypes and unfair judgment about individuals and groups. Identify appropriate communication skills and strategies to meet the cultural and linguistic need of the university's community. By the completion of this presentation, I would hope that you will be able to discuss the strength and power of diversity and inclusion. And when we do our Q&A, we can answer any questions related to what our topic was. So when we talk about diversity, we want to talk about different works of styles, racial differences, ethnic differences, age span, social class, regional differences, sexual minority, religion, political affiliation, skills and abilities, and disabilities. So, what is inclusion? Inclusion is the process of valuing all individuals and leveraging their diverse talent, not in spite of their differences, but because of them. And when we talk about the diverse talent, I mean, it's amazing how when we look at our communities in our United States, and I'll just say pretty much in our nation, we have a lot of communities that have transitioned or have migrated here into, and I could talk about Houston as one. We have so many, first of all, different restaurants with different dishes, and we have people who speak many different languages. We have people of different cultural backgrounds as far as what they wear just on a daily basis. And it's amazing that a lot of times when I see people of different cultures that may dress a certain way, I want to research that and I want to know what gives them the reason, what is the reason why they present themselves out in public in such manner where here we are, we're just comfortable, we're just regular t-shirt and jeans, and we have certain cultures where they cover their entire face. And I've always wanted to know why, and I did find out why. But that wasn't the reason that I looked at them as being very different, even though it seemed like it. It's just that cultural background in their native land. That's just pretty much how they carry themselves on a daily basis. Inclusion requires a conscious effort to involve all human resources in the fabric, in the woven fabric, in the inclusion of all things that we do and mission of the organizations as a critical value add. Our demographics in the United States is becoming an increasingly diverse society, as I talked about earlier, how we are just pretty much a melting pot. A lot of races, a lot of ethnic backgrounds, no matter what history has said, how we got here, how the blacks got here, how the Mexicans have arrived, how Latinos, how the Indians, just whatever happened to get these backgrounds here, these ethnic races here, pretty much we're here now. So the thing is, how do we handle that? Are we going to create a xenophobia, or are we going to welcome everyone? And unfortunately, everyone is not going to welcome everyone. I wish that were reality, but just the reality is you're going to have people that's going to have that racial bias, and have those that's going to have that prejudiceness over different races. And it's unfortunate that we are like that, but that's just the way it is. I wish there was this magic motion, this magic potion that just made everyone just love everyone, but unfortunately, that just doesn't happen. This diversity means that many different cultures operate in our communities and neighborhoods, and you'll find that more or less, as I mentioned earlier, in food. When you go to different downtown to stores and restaurants, and to the mall, you see certain ethnic background races with certain types of food, and it's always intriguing to want to try these foods, which pretty much doesn't taste any different from a lot of what we cook ourselves. Just they have native seasonings, different types of meats, different types of fruit that we are not used to, that we try. So in our neighborhoods, it just builds. It just makes our neighborhood branches out a little bit more and gives us more awareness that there are other things other than soul food, and things other than crawfish, and things other than what we're used to, chicken and fried chicken. There's just other things that we can deal with as a community. The youth and families we work with represent an amazing array of diversity and cultural richness. And I do believe that is true, because I think on today I'm wearing something from another. It has little fringes on it, and even though it's not something that I would typically wear daily, I thought it was cute to wear for the day because we're talking about diversity. Linguistic diversity. 14% of the total U.S. population speak a language other than English at home. And you'll also learn that a lot of these languages that are spoken at home, if there are 14% that speak English, you're not going to get a lot of those people that are going to be out in public that's going to really know what you're saying. And we run into that daily when we kind of frequent with people in stores, and you'll hear someone talking another language, and even if you ask them something as simple as "excuse me," they may not even know what you're talking about. And so it's just a variety of languages going on here in our own city. 54% of these speak Spanish, and we I guess it's safe to say that a lot of our population here in Houston, Texas, is a lot of the Spanish community. Why is cultural diversity an important issue? The U.S. is becoming a multicultural society. By 2014, and this is coming from the National Association of State Boards of Education, says by 2040, no race will make up a majority. By 2050, the U.S. African American population will increase from 13% to 14%. That goes up 1%. The Hispanic population will increase from 14% to 25%, larger increase. The Caucasian population will decrease from 74 to 50%. And why is that? The Asian population will increase from 3% to 8%, almost a little small difference. Why is cultural diversity an important issue again? Persons with physical and mental challenges comprise the largest minority in the U.S., with approximately 50 million individuals and almost 20% of the population. About 25 million Americans identify as gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender. And I can truly say that I am of that population because I am a transgender woman. Definitions that assist in establishing common ground. Race. One of four groups: white, Black, African American Indian, and Alaskan Native, and Asian and Pacific Islander U.S. Census 2000. According to some paperwork, they're supposed to be added on the checkbox where it says other. So I don't know what other is going to consist of, but I think other doesn't really describe who you are unless you don't want to gravitate to who you really are, or really unsure if you'll be accepted if you select one of these races. And I know a lot of times this becomes an issue in job applications where they want to know your race, and some people are hesitant to actually tell them that. So I think the other will kind of suffice, them accepting who they are. Ethnicity, selected cultural and sometimes physical characteristics used to classify people into ethnic groups or categories. American ethnic groups include Native Americans, Hispanics, Indians, Latinos, Chinese, African Americans, European Americans, and so on. Racism, the belief that race is a primary determinant of human traits and capacities, and that racial differences produce an inherent superiority of a particular race. Sexism, the belief in the inherited superiority of one sex gender over the other and thereby the right to dominate. Homophobia, fear or hatred of aversion to or prejudice and or discrimination against people who are homosexual. On our campus, we have the Pride Center, which I'm the manager of, and a lot of questions come in the office from students that are in classes that are of the LGBTQ community. And some of the questions are, how do I handle if I'm in a class and a student feels like he doesn't like me? And one of my responses is, first of all, is it a safe place? Do you feel safe? Because we have protection on this campus. I think if I'm not mistaken, it's Title IX, which protects people from discrimination. And my message that I like to convey to them is if you have to stay away from them, which I don't want you to feel like you have to be in fear of walking on campus, but if there's not really nothing that you have to deal with that person, try to stay out of their way, because you can't really change the mindset of people, especially from childhood. When people grow up a certain way, it's hard for them to change old habits. So you just have to, first of all, make sure that you're in a safe environment. Talk to someone about it. Talk to someone who's going to be, we'd like to say, closed mouth, or have information that's not going to be broadcast out, so that you can feel safe on this campus and move forward with your learning. What is culture? The integrated pattern of human behavior that includes thoughts, communication styles, actions, customs, beliefs, values, and institutions to ensure that the needs of the children, youth, and families are met within the contents of their culturally informed worldview. Why culture matters? Why does culture matter? It affects parenting and child rearing. In the Bible, it says to the extent of raise a child. I don't want to quote it, and it's incorrect, but in so many words, it says how you raise that child is what that child is going to know when he grows up. And I don't want to misquote the Bible. And I know it's not a spiritual event, but it says that. And when you teach a child what they need to know from a kid, that's going to grow in them, and that's going to rear in them as they get older. And that's pretty much how they're going to be set. Communication, how you talk to people, how you expect people to talk to you. What type of conversation do you have when you're having a conversation? Your body language, how do you act when you're around certain people of diverse quality? Perception of time, what do you think about people? Help-seeking behaviors, help-giving behaviors, stigma, attitudes, and beliefs about the laws, services, social support, kinship support, and what constitutes successful services. Use of services and social supports. Here on our campus, we have lots of that. In my office, I have resource pamphlets, information that's offered free to students that want to know anything about sexual behavior, anger, suicide attempts, from drug abuse, and anything that you can ask for, I have that in my office. So you're always welcome to come. Suite 232 in the Student Center on the campus of Texas Southern University. Understanding of government systems, knowing your rights, and I heard someone say earlier, you have to vote, because if you don't vote, if sometimes you can't have any input on the decisions made if you didn't vote. So we want everybody to vote and know that your vote does count, and how we see the world. Understanding cultural differences. Family is defined differently by different cultures, of course. The concept of an exact time is not used to reinforce in some cultures. Some culture groups stress the venerification of ancestors. Eye contact varies by culture. Physical distance during social interactions varies by culture. Culture greatly influences attitudes about physical contact. Different cultures regulate the display of emotion differently. Some cultures may use different standards for loudness, speed of delivery, silence, attentiveness, and time to respond. In our Black community, all mama had to do was look at you with that side eye, and that knew you need to be quiet. Reflect on your own culture. The best way to understand culture is to explore your own. Have your own anecdotes. Think about these questions. What holidays and major events do you celebrate? Why? How would I feel if I were told I would not be able to no longer celebrate this holiday? How would I feel? How would you feel if you couldn't celebrate Christmas or your birthday? For those of you who think your birthday is a holiday, how would you feel about that? If they say, well, you can no longer do this, well, you want to know why. How did growing up and or where you grow up shape your view of the world? Think of differences between your generation and your parents' generation. And I hear a lot of young men say, well, I'm from the ghetto, and because I'm from the ghetto, I'm just going to live in the ghetto. But that's not true. There's also a saying that, you can take the girl out the ghetto, but you can't take the ghetto out the girl. Okay, that may be true, but that doesn't mean that you can't expand your horizon. Go get educated, learn how to do new things, ask questions. Place your feet in the door when the door is about to be closed. Try to get those doors to open, and don't stay stagnated in just one place. Just because you were raised in the ghetto or low poverty neighborhood doesn't mean that you have to always be that way. How does your gender shape your aspiration in life? Who do you admire and why? A lot of times our people that we look up to are some of the main reasons why we use those people to go further in life. What characteristics do they have? The strengths of cultural diversity offers an environment of inclusion that is supportive and collaborative and increases productivity and loyalty, promotes equality and equal opportunity, encourages interaction among diverse people to enrich the education of experience, promote personal growth, and enhance the community, fosters mutual respect, value differences, and promotes cross-cultural understanding, prepares community members to live and work in a competitive global economy. What is cultural competence? Cultural competence is a set of behaviors and attitudes that professionals use to understand their own values and culture. And you'll know that in every household, is a difference, and how you were taught in your household is the value that you will learn and that you will proceed out in the world as you get older, or depending on what you're taught in your household. Value diversity and cultural differences in their clients, adapt to the culture of the family of community they are serving, work effectively in cross-cultural situations. And it's always said you have to be professional in all aspects, no matter what. If you're on the job and you have someone that you don't like because they are who they are, you still have to manage a level of professionalism. Cultural competence skills include being aware of your own culture and values, knowing who you are and your worth, respecting differences, being aware of and working at controlling your own biases and how they affect interactions with others. Understanding institutional barriers that prevent some families from accessing resources, building strong cross-cultural team relationships, advocating for individuals who are different from you, talking about, hey, I think that's a great guy, even though you think this and think that, using effective communication skills across differences, mediating cross-cultural conflicts, and being flexible, which is always a great tool to know how to be flexible. Don't assume, and I won't go into the little comical cliche that they say about assume. The assumptions we make based on a person's appearance often lead to misjudgments. We may not hear what youth and families have to say because we have already decided they have nothing to contribute based on their own biases relating to the person's appearance or situations. And a lot of times we judge people just by the way they look, and we feel like, oh, because they look like this, they're not the smartest. I was always told, and it's just a cliche, that you can learn something from a drunk man. And that's always been true. The drunk people, a drunk man may be drunk. It doesn't mean that he has never had a life before. And some of the message that he conveys to you are really words of wisdom. Our preconceptions may adversely affect our ability to communicate effectively with those who are different from us. And that's just having an open mind. Labeling. We often use labels or categories to describe others. And labels are not really good sometimes when they're of more of a derogatory meaning. And it's bad that we see people, and as they're coming, we can whisper to one of our colleagues and give them a label and not even know that that colleague may be their friend. So sometimes you have to be careful when you're talking about different people and giving them labels. These labels can be based on such characteristics as clothing, look, the way a person talks, or groups to which he or she belongs. Grouping is a natural human inclination. However, people often make assumptions about groups of people they don't even know. And we find that we do that no matter what. It doesn't matter what race or ethnic background you are, somebody's going to always have a label on that background. They say all black people go here and all they do is steal. All they do is this. All white people think they're bougie. All this, just labeling people. Why can't anyone think like that? Why can't anyone be that? Why does it have to be a certain marginalized group of people? Stereotyping. Preconceptions and stereotypes function as a negative lens through which people perceive others who look, think, or behave differently. Stereotyping occurs when we use misinformation, to judge everyone who belongs to a specific group. For example, if we're walking through a park at night and encounter 3 senior citizens wearing fur coats and walking with canes, we may not feel as threatened as if we were met by 3 high school aged boys wearing leather jackets. Why is that so? Because we have already made generalizations on each one, and we know where that would have went. We see 3 guys with leather coats on in a park walking along. What are you going to think? It's going to bring on a fear because you don't know if they're going to try to attack you or if there's some things that's going to happen. And when you see the little old white ladies wearing fur coats, you think, oh, that's just some rich old ladies trying to have a little exercise. So stereotypes also evolve out of fear of persons, minority groups, and that is definitely true. To avoid stereotype, acknowledge the existence of your own preconception. Be critical of yourself. Don't take for granted any opinion that pops into your head. Work to understand how your preconceptions impact the way you view others. Know your labels and to whom you regulate them. Slow down and get more information. And I want to just talk about this because I know time's running out. Just have you been fairly unjudged? And just to talk a little bit about myself briefly before I end this segment, me being a trans woman, there are going to be some times and have been some times where, for those that knew that I was who I was, the first thing that came out their mind was that I was supposed to be wilding out, and I'll just keep it real, wilding out. I was supposed to be sexually promiscuous. I'm supposed to be a drug addict and an alcoholic, and I don't fit any of that description. But I was judged like that because of the character of me just being a transgender. So, and one of the things that I don't do is I don't try to change their thinking because sometimes that just creates, a bad situation. What I do for myself is I stay connected with people that are on another level. I'm educated, I'm smart, and I don't try to prove those points. And, because what happens is they don't care anyway. Once they have created that unfairly judgmental criteria about you, they're not going to change that. But God changes a lot of things, so we never know what situations may happen. So I know time is passing. There's way more that needs to be covered. I've been noted that I should go ahead and wrap it up. So I will just say thank you all.